Welcome everyone to a quick T2 build update here. I wanted to share some data points. So our ISO build stuff is like mostly done, and I wanted to share a final, less boring overview for you playing along at home. Let me just, I should have checked, but I think this probably should be public. So is this, yeah, it's public. So yeah, as per previous video, we built here tons of architectures, and so this is building due to the burned memory channels here, still waiting off my RMA stuff, so not our usual epic third ripping AMD Ryzen 5950X, but the lesser 3950X of Zen 2 versus Zen 3. And I have to say it's obviously still amazing, obviously, right? It's some 10% smaller, but maybe not really worth the upgrade, obviously, unless you're, or maybe 18% faster. But yeah, obviously not the most important update unless you're extreme computer scientist compiling and so on. It's even fast enough that you could still build all our vintage, retro and abandonware architectures of all the craziness we built here. So this is a final list of what we currently will build, and everything. So this wasn't even 24 hours building. So I think in the title I said like a day, but basically I probably, so one architecture thing builds like 2 or 3 hours. That is minimal desktop, so building all of x86 like latest and greatest, good old-fashioned vintage retro that nobody except nearly except us cares about, and then all the, I mean, lots of the stuff. Let's not be kidding ourselves, right? Most stuff here is vintage abandonware like Spark 64, of course RISC V, 64 and 32, not PowerPC 64. Even that somewhat like, nah, kind of beating somewhat that horse there, but nah, don't even have that. PowerPC 64, not Little Endian, nah. Sure, there is still embedded, and there is our beloved G5 and P3, but even MIP64, MIPCell, sure, there is some access point stuff, but yeah, sure, embedded, but Hewlett Packard, of course, total. But I mean, certainly we could, you know what, we could certainly sort this here into latest and greatest. Would only probably be like 4 AMD 64, RISC V something, and ARM 64. And that's probably nearly it. Well, maybe PowerPC 64, LE, but yeah. Then the somewhat usable in terms of x86, 32-bit, Spark 64, not entirely dead yet. This MIPCell maybe, but then we really reaching vintage, retro, abandonware territory. Not all of them, so they are, I don't treat them all equal. We still spin ISOs, including Intanium 64, although I don't have hardware to test it, or even Alpha. Intanium 64, I said this previously, a little bit quirky to build. There's some really strange GCC lib unwind bootstrap issue that I currently YOLO around a little bit. And welcome everyone to this video in chat. Just a quick summary. And only the latest and greatest I consider worthy enough to build a minimal desktop, meaning Rust, LVM Clang, and Firefox. Also, actually, you know what? I think the others, I take this back. The others also built LVM Clang for Mesa, but Rust and Firefox and some surrounding nice to have GTK stuff. So that is currently only PowerPC. So this is basically the latest and greatest state of the art. Here we have that again. Only that builds minimal desktop. All the other stuff builds only minimal Xorg, which certainly is still good enough. The reason is either there is Firefox has so bit rotten or no support that it either segmentation faults due to JavaScript type confusion stuff. I could fix it, but share, like, and subscribe. Memberships, Patreon and stuff takes a weekend or a week or so. Maybe someday in a year, or eventually with a rainy day or snowy winter, we might do this, especially if you should like and subscribe and Patreon and stuff. But for the time being, everything, so basically everything where Rust and Firefox do not just work, just builds minimal Xorg for now. I also had declassify, degrade ARM today because I think this somewhat built some quarter ago, but then a month ago Clang or Firefox didn't link due to some assembly file of we built here for Cortex A8, which is relatively recent, just a decade old or so. And previously this had some assembly not supported by the CPU and whatever. And today I thought latest and greatest Rust and Clang might fix that, but now it's segmentation faulting in Rust so much to, probably not AAA primary release architecture. I'm certainly not debugging segmentation faults in Rust, so degrading that to minimal Xorg. It is. We optimize everything smart, we optimize everything LTO, also Spark 64. I still need to check whether this actually works. The last time we had some randomly we had some reproducible segmentation faulting binaries. Maybe we need to switch off. Actually, I can already document that. Do we have Spark 64 here somewhere? Hello, Spark? No. So is this alphabetically sorted? Spark 64. Due to the nature of latest bash, previously this would have worked like that, but bash thing since 5 or 4, whatever, errors out if you have it like this with no statement, empty statement, whatever. So some empty thing it is. But basically to do needs LTO equals 0. Maybe. Otherwise, optimization-wise, this is what I've chosen. This is basically what I built previously. So ARM is Cortex A8, relatively new. MIPSL is MIP. This is sort of kinda newish. This is basically just what I have here. MIPS 32 release 2 and the hope mini tiny little bit performance. Maybe Indian is little, obviously, as the name implies. PowerPC, good old-fashioned abandonware stuff, so 603. We could have chosen something a little bit newer, but that is what the older. Of course, I have a G4 cube. We could use here G4, which is Motorola Freescale 7540 or 50 or something. 603 is what we have in the IBM B50, IBM R6000 server. So 20-year legacy it is. It's old, low performance embedded stuff anyway, so YOLO, whatever. PowerPC 6432 userland for optimizing performance, specifically for the PS3, but even the G5 probably for the most part. The set thing is currently Firefox segmentation faults there for 32-bit, so eventually we should fix that, which recurring advertisement, you probably want to share, like, and subscribe for that, and Patreon and stuff. RISC-V, we only set this to the Xlang 32-bit, not much more. There are not right now any cores to optimize anyway. So, and also this doesn't map directly. So maybe we change this someday. Not yet made my mind up. Maybe we do. Probably something. And x86 we built for Nocona. We need experts to have CFlex injections there. And this is just the two option things that I as a developer know here. And actually theoretically we could sort this just to have that. I usually pro tip sort this stuff a little bit together. So this expert is only for this CFlex. So Nocona is first, or nearly first, not sure if maybe there was a P4, not sure. Although I think probably the P4, Pentium 4 was the ones with 64-bit extension, probably were Nocona. The benefit of this is this should have SSE3. Maybe we double check that, but I'm pretty sure I checked that. Or at least SSE3. This thing is, does it not have SS? All right. This is the first thing not having SSE3. However, maybe the first, I think the first Athlon. So the benefit of that is using SSE3, which could give us a tiny little bit of performance. Athlon, oh come on, 64. I think the first ones didn't have SSE3. Yeah, they didn't. All right. And if we would use Athlon 64, we actually would need MNO 3D Now, because it could potentially build binaries with 3D Now, which obviously would not run on all the Intel CPUs. I'm not sure. Do the latest Ryzen still have 3D Now? Not sure. Maybe not. Maybe they have. But so Nocona, although there's a little strange combination, that is basically Athlon 64 without 3D Now, but with SSE3, which is why I've chosen that. Caused me some previous video a little bit kernel headache, but whatever. So yeah, that we double check that, and we tune that. Also, previous video barely makes a difference, but maybe sometimes it does. So Nocona of, as outlined a second ago, plus tuning that a tiny little bit of just scheduling that for the Zenver 3 pipeline, because why not? Of course, it still works on everything else. Some people always YOLO me in the comments of it doesn't, but of course it does. Or Nocona would not work on anything else. Of course, it works on anything else that has the same instruction set. The usual fun with the comments here. And then, as I said already, just this stuff. Minimal desktop. We could also comment here. Wait a second. Do we? All right, PowerPC 64 and PowerPC 64 Firefox crashes. I think it built, at least the last time I checked it built, that was before Christmas, but it makes no sense to spend all the CPU cycles and deliver stuff on the ISO that anyway segmentation faults. It only is an empty promise and wastes people time when they try to figure out why Firefox crashes on their PS3. That is a little bit the drawback. Maybe actually the problem, yeah, the real problem is that the PS3 just has too little memory. So I could ship a PowerPC 64 Firefox. Even that is not amazing. As I already said a couple of times, even that has still RGB versus BGR being NUNIS swap graphic splitting there. Not the most fun beside memory pressure and swapping and stuff. Anyway, that's it all we built, and that is nearly everything built. So the only thing is Armen builds here really. This is a recurring theme, so that is. But yeah, it's unsupported and obsolete in GCC and binutils stuff. Really strange stuff going on there. Maybe we don't even, you know what? Let's mark this now as not supporting Intanium, as crazy as it is, because if I still have it in here, each time we build, and I want to automatically build this now every week or so, or at least a month. Let's see how, maybe once a month, all architectures, and every week, or maybe every week if we have at least 100 subversion revisions. So maybe if I'm once upon a time have a week holiday and only update a little bit, or actually data updates something, then at least like 100 revisions or so. If a week was quiet, it makes no sense to build a new ISO if there are at least 100 updates or something. Architecture minus IA64, just so that we don't have this build error. I think this should be this one. I just touched that, but this of course doesn't scale for automated building. Let's scripts config IA64, I'll config that and see that probably shouldn't rebuild that. Yeah, actually what exactly was it even? Some manual page stuff, I guess. Do we even need this manual page? Yeah, this is crazy. See, we got this, except if it has really strange build errors of couldn't care less. Probably I commit this, famous last words, probably I commit this later today after testing, and then I forget this and accumulate 90 plus changes in my working copy. I slightly wonder, why do we have Armen in this selection if nothing else needs this, but now whatever. Probably Git or something needed that. yeah, that's basically it. And all of this builds as optimized and streamlined as T2 is on probably in 12 hours guesstimate, because most of half of the night it didn't build due to being stuck on some build errors that I corrected or changed in configuration settings of combinations I didn't want to build like this. And as seen this morning, that I didn't have one clang patch there of passes. So yeah, probably all of this, what you've seen, which are crazy obsolete sets of most distributions don't even care anymore. Unsuccessful one-man moron who doesn't know what they're doing live on YouTube can build this with their scripted from source Linux distribution in 12 hours, which in my opinion is pretty amazing, and hopefully now fully automated. There is only one tiny thing, which is something that some people have seen, or maybe mostly myself, is due to maybe GNU util Linux utils or something util Linux, maybe changes in mkdir-p of touching all the directories or something of that sort. We get a couple of stray build errors of packages recreating directories that historically we didn't have in 20 years. So that is a new thing, a recurring theme here. Always a nice new upstream regression of some sort. Still need to fix this somehow, not the super highest priority. This is of course a little bit, if you build this manually, not a big deal. If you build this automatically, it's of course annoying. If your build fails, your ISO build there on a compute node here each Sunday or something, when your build fails due to Linux kernel recreated /temp or procfs recreated user bin, it's like YOLO, whatever. So fixing that should not be the hardest thing. It's just not the highest priority. I will either, maybe I try a quick look. I looked already a little bit into that, probably 1 hour. So a quick look, probably another hour. Or maybe I don't even spend further time on that, looking into util Linux mkdir, and maybe I rather adapt our shell script pre-processing stuff to maybe simply ignore /temp, because now YOLO whatever temp, and otherwise user bin, not erroring out in our build system scripts if it's the directory. Debian people do something similar, in, as far as understood, in Debian, but correct me if I'm wrong, packages do not own directories. It's probably due to those people having similar issues of multiple packages creating user bin and stuff like that. So in Debian, the packages mostly don't contain directories. In T2, of course, also mostly not. That is what we have 00 dir tree for. Although sometimes I thought to maybe rename this to either 00 file system hierarchy, like FHS of 00 file system hierarchy standard, maybe. Because 00 dir tree, but on the other hand, it was named 00 dir tree in Rock Linux, which is a successor of T2 for maybe 20 years, 2 decades. So why change this now? But anyway, this is just some sort of process. So probably just probably adapting our scripts also takes an hour or two, fiddling around there, testing and this and that. But that is mostly it. If we should build more stuff, as usual, leave in the comments below what you think of the stuff, if you are as thrilled and amazed as we are. Otherwise, leave in the comments below what crazy abandonware architectures you want to build. Intanium might be tough to keep maintaining. I don't even have the hardware. Also, if you want to support us, a recurring theme here, right? You probably guessed by now from all the random YouTube videos, it's kind of sort of a full-time job that I do 20% here and weekends and nights and stuff, and with Junior in the office previous video. So probably want to share, like, and subscribe, Patreon and membership and stuff. If your favorite stuff is missing here, leave in the comments below. Probably very few people run AVR32. Also, we have 2 hardware here from previous embedded projects and stuff. A Blackfin, we also have here TI, DSP, Blackfin, also this is microcontroller Linux, and also abandonware, deleted upstream and even cancelled as in abandon hardware from TI. yeah, this did, I would build Motorola 68K just for the fun of it. I think the Graver previously has done that, even playing along at home. For me, it didn't build really strange word size, mem move, stuff in glibc, the recurring theme, upstream regressions and whatever. So this stuff we actually, yeah, most of the stuff, Spark 32 I recently put quite some time in. The problem is the kernel gets too big to even load through open firmware, because only around 6 megabyte of memory or something of that sort are guaranteed to be mapped. And Zilo wouldn't load something, so after investing 2 hours or so, it's like, yeah, don't get the kernel. Also 486 previous video, booting on a 486, challenging at best. This is really sad, of course, in so many ways, and yeah, but that makes not the most sense. Could still, yeah, I don't know. Of course, vintage Abundanware. Super H is abundant as Blackfin or AVR32. Yeah, fun fact is also abundant. So basically we built everything of this list. The only thing is, what is this set? Was it set 390? Of course, there's other crazy stuff like Chris and Open Risk and whatnot. But I don't even have the hardware. Maybe I should really focus on the next big things. I think this is pretty feature complete, although certainly I have a 40-line list of nice to have to do. But yeah, I would think after 2 years of live streaming random stuff on YouTube, this is in an amazing shape, certainly better, in the best shape probably since 2006. As I said previously, it was in a good shape in Rock Linux when I did release stable release maintenance from our 1900 packages. With all the attention to detail and dedication and work and compiling day and night there in my university times, I had this as stable release maintainer to compile most packages. I remember with my Rock Linux 2.0 or so releases, I had all of this 1700 or 1900 packages, all except 17, which 17 were random contribution garbage of really random garbage stuff. So all of KDE build, all of GNOME build, which of course KDE 2 or KDE 3 and GNOME 2 was easier. Nowadays, yeah, desktop, minimal desktop. Of course, nowadays other challenges, Rust, LLVM, Clang, Firefox, and of course it's in a different shape. So it's from the certainly way more packages. Now we are at probably maybe approaching 4,000. Also recently we deleted some. Clean, yeah, it's nearly that. Let's see, packages. Let's quickly count that. Yeah, good guesstimate. Huh? Nearly 4,000 packages, so 3,000. Yeah, a couple of are uncommitted, so 3,900 something packages. So these are sort of twice as many packages, but probably a huge amount does not cleanly build. I'm really sorry for that. I don't want to bore you with more random live streams, so we continue doing more stuff. I can't sit here all day long and fix up all the failing KDE, GNOME, random contribution, whatever stuff that even I personally don't use. If you want to use this at home, send a patch. That would be amazing. Adopt some packages here. Take over maintainship on your SG Octane, PS3, Sunblade. But that Firefox cross-compiles, it's two different set of achievements. One thing is twice the packages, or actually it's three things, twice the packages, and we could package even more. Think Scala, Julia, Swift, and certainly 10,000 of other open source components if we would ever need them. But nowadays, KDE GNOME, way more dependency complexity. Even other major distributions struggle to keep this compiling, and it's not primary daily use case for me. Of course, I will continue to fix this, just not daily priority stuff. And last but not least, now we cross-compile everything. Cross-compiling at Rock Linux 2.0 was still in its infancy. This was just cross-compiling the bootstrap stuff. In T2, over a decade, I vastly improved that from cross-compiling the bootstrap stuff that was even at times half broken to cross-compiling Rust, KDE, Firefox, whole lots of stuff. Half the packages probably, and for following here on live on this channel the challenges of getting LVM Clang, Firefox and Rust to cross-compile. Certainly a pretty amazing achievement, so that on an epic thread-ripping AMD Ryzen, even last year's 1350X, you can compile a minimal desktop in 2 hours and a dozen of those overnight. I'm thrilled. That's an amazing start of the year. Also recently I wasted 8 hours debugging random nonsense, but nonetheless, so is life at times. As usual, leave me in the comments below which architecture you want to use the most. And yes, I know already P3 and SG Octane, but otherwise leave me down there. Anyway, we have amazing stuff coming. We will continue now that T2 is in the most amazing sort of kind of somewhat shape in a decade. More low-level stuff, more microkernel, more other product reviews and security news broadcasts, and then of course move on with more modern stuff, microkernel or similar such stuff. Maybe I even adopt Google Fuchsia, maybe, we will see. And that is certainly a good outlook for 2021 and the next decade to come. That's this quick update for today. I also have to rush, and I hope you learned something. As usual, leave me in the comments below, and if you use this, we started already to get new contributors. Danny, for example, the Graver, and plenty of others. Emmanuel, their P3 stuff, and so on and so forth. Amazing stuff. People playing along at home using that. And last but not least, if you want to have some hardware, maybe I should make some more prominent shout out. I have quite some Abundantware hardware here. There is a couple of things I would still be looking for. Theoretically DEC Alpha, theoretically Intel Intanium, just to have this tested. Maybe a Motorola 68K thing, although right now it doesn't build, but anyway, nice to have. That's mostly it, the small bits and pieces there. They're always completing some SG Octane or other fun stuff. And yeah, speaking about SG Octane, this ArcLoad inetRD bootloader memory corruption thing. Anyway, that's it for this T2 update. The ISOs, we will have some tests there. I need to test this again, quite some changes recently. Need to test if this actually installs and boots. And the problem is, of course, testing, more testing. And yeah, this is exactly the temp DS line yellow or whatever. Just go on here with it. This is annoying stuff. 6 minutes build time wasted, but otherwise doable. Do we have probably we have some ARM64 thing building there. Is this ARM? Not ARM64, ARM 32-bit. Yeah, testing I will outsource similar to BIOS vendors. Previous videos, BIOS vendors outsourcing the testing to you. I outsource testing also to you. I will pre-test it a little bit. Certainly doesn't make sense to copy gigabytes of data to some data center and then it's broken. So I will pre-test some stuff a little bit, but network booting all on the Octane and the PS3 and the Suns, like, nah. Some of the stuff doesn't even have boot code like ARM because way too many architectures. So that is just using the binary similar to RISC, not yet too much RISC-V boot standard stuff there, and certainly not very much optical spinning ISO stuff. So there's always one more thing like RISC-V boot stuff, but similar to ARM right now. This is rather board specific. Oh, and right, yeah, this RISC-V unmatched. Maybe in 2 months time we get the most performant quad also Core 16, irony, right? 16 gig of memory is exactly what you get as a maxed out Mac Mini. Anyway, that's it for this video. What is our alpha stuff doing? I think Linux is like, you know what, we can, as a final thing, let's touch that. I will rebuild that in a moment, but let's manually touch that and see if, I think Linux should be one of the last. Let's see if everything builds. Very theoretically, we could also then move RMAN from, this was everything, so I slightly wonder what we have RMAN for in this package selection. Let's, you know what, let's remove that and continue rebuilding the Linux kernel there while we find out RMAN in where's our cache do we have? What? Why do we depths of Armin? Powermonger? What the heck? If nothing uses Armin, why do we have this in the... Okay, so then we do it differently. This is why I wanted to quickly test this. Then it makes no sense if nothing really uses that. Not really sure where we had that for. We can actually try to find out in a second. Then let's revert this and new marks that we just placed there, because if nothing reverted that, let's SV unlock that. What have I added that for? I saw something like git or something, but added rman formally included monolith xorg and needed by some legacy xorg stuff. Legacy X stuff, maybe not anymore. Or actually, well, it could actually do have this installed. Not that this was accidentally used from... Oh, I don't have Armin installed. Interesting. Okay, as this apparently is also so much up and done there, that we probably simply remove that from our package list here of target generic. Let's see if that pops up as being a requirement. Also, very theoretically, I wonder if we still need all these other abandonware stuff. That would be interesting to know. And a way to debug that, it's of course a pity that... But you see, just in the course of this video, which was 30 minutes, we built already most of the X11 stuff of ARM, and let's wipe the whole build again of ARM 32-bit, and let's redo that yet one more time just to find out whether we need this legacy stuff or whether we can delete that, because as much as we love legacy hardware, we do not love legacy packages in our default build. Saves build time, ISO, although just maybe a megabyte or two, but nonetheless, why ship legacy stuff if nothing really finally uses it anymore? With that, I hope you learned something and got some performance indicators. So if you want to save some bucks of expensive CPUs, then even for that, a 3950X still would be enough. And yet I still hope AMD RMA is my half I/O die burned memory channel I/O die things of 1550X, because it would certainly be even more amazing when this stuff would build some 18 or so % faster. Speaking of which, later maybe if actually AMD, I'm one of those cheapskates, cheapskates of having a 3950X and 1550X here, but I'm also quickly getting rather upset and voting with my wallet. So if AMD pulls a whole bit and shows me the finger with those half-burned I/O die memory channels there, then maybe I don't give them a couple of more €1,000 for Threadripper, but fingers crossed and thumbs pressed. I hope they change that to a working one, and that would still motivate me to eventually get them a Threadripper, because that would be amazing to see, like Sync 64 cores, 128 threads. You probably want to share, like, and subscribe for that. Maybe coming this autumn for potentially building all the stuff in just 2 hours or so. Who knows? Maybe that would be amazing. But yeah, first I need to RMA a CPU. So this is all the fun stuff coming. Leave in the comments below if you learned something, which architecture you want to use, what you want to see next. Low-level GPUs, P3, SG Octane, similar of that stuff, or actually freaking AAA product reviews. I hope you learned something. Have a good weekend, stay healthy, and catch you next time for all those fun low-level things to come.